welcome everybody to another episode of Heavy Storms. The storms are brewing, and it's time that we give our take on another movie of the month.
It's
that
funny.
wasn't awkward at all. Anyway,
it's funny
today's
because
topic.
it's funny because it's actually
course,
storming outside for me right now.
Okay, wonderful. Today's topic is Steamboy, but before we go ahead and do that, first let's introduce one another. I'm Zachary Whitley Perlmutter, and joining me today on this fine, disturbingly thunderous evening are Walter Holligan. Say hi.
Did you just call me fucking Holligan?
I'm sorry, Holligan.
And this is how we start podcasts, ladies and gentlemen.
We got halogen light on here.
Walter Holliger.
No. Whoever's
broke
making
Walt.
the title card, I am not Holliger. Holligan. Spell it out. I am Walter Holligan from now on.
Walter, cut the
Jonathan,
crap and just introduce yourself.
I need my staff page changed.
Walter, just cut the crap and introduce yourself.
I think you just broke him.
I am Walter Holligan. I am the host of Rainy Day Reading, and today I am not leaving today until I've convinced everyone here that Steamboy was meant as a superhero origin movie.
Oh,
Okay,
no,
and then
here we
also
go.
we have Stephanie Getchell. Say hi.
Hi, my name is Stephanie. I do things on Rainy Day. I also do things on Lilac Anime Reviews. Hello. And it's also raining outside.
Oh yeah, it is raining for real. And then
Literal storm right
Joe
now.
Stratman.
Hi, I work on the seasonal stuff for Infinite Rainy Day, and I appreciate the patience of my audience to get through our introductions.
For the record, this is still new for me anyway, so I'm learning as well.
Stephanie,
But anyway, before we begin as well on Steamboy,
Woo!
perhaps we should go through some mandatory news.
Mandatory news is mandatory.
Who wants to begin?
I'll start
I
first,
think-
just because I've got
But-
everything here on a little note card.
I'll say
First,
maybe I should go
Stephanie, I apologize
last.
if my laugh hurts your ears later.
it's
Skype
okay.
sucks, everyone. That's the news. Alright, here's my bit of news. So,
Yeah?
here's a name you haven't heard in about a decade. Fruits Basket. Mainly because, well, that's about how long it took for Tokyo Pop to go out of business after it ended. But Natsuki Takaya, creator of Fruits Basket, is to release a sequel series, Fruit Basket Another, to celebrate the release of the collector's edition of the manga. It is set to... Haku Senshi is to publish new chapters every Friday on the free Hanalala Online starting on September 4th. It's only planned for about 2 to 3 volumes of content. It has little connection to the original staff, and it is also confirmed that the main characters of Fruits Basket will not actually appear, but may be mentioned. So pretty much, they're bringing back a really well-loved manga, or at least its name, just to push the fact that it's being re-released.
What
Oh,
up?
that sounds a lot like the disappearance of Nagato Yuki-chan.
Let's
Yo,
not
how
get
did
into
that
that.
turn out?
Let's not
Don't
get
start.
into that, or else Joe will go into a field day.
No, when you said
Just-
Hana La 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 La, like Hana La La,
Huh?
what was it?
It was Hanalala. I made sure. I did check it right. That is the service.
How long did it take for you to say that without bursting out into laughter?
One take. Because
One take?
I am a refined gentleman of comedy. Thank you very much.
You are a fine gentleman of comedy. You started laughing when I got your last name wrong.
Yes, I did. Holly,
Yeah.
that was great.
So, Fruit
The
Basket,
thing-
Fruits Basket Another. Poor English is cool.
Our English is fantastical.
Here's the thing I'm wondering with it, because I've been talking to some people about it. Some people speculate that it might be a child of one of the couplings that happened in the end of the manga, because like based on the promotional image on the article, you have Yuki and Kyo in the back supposedly. So and the girl obviously is not Toru. So who is this person exactly? There's speculation.
The
she might
girl's
be
name
one of their
actually is Suwa.
kids or something,
Suwa,
but-
I believe. And I have a quick question, because I totally forget this. Who did Toru end up with? Kyo or Kyo? What was the other guy's name?
It was
Yuki.
It was.
Who did she
I
end
think
up
how
with?
it ended up in the manga. Toru ended up with Kyo, and I think Yuki ended up with someone else from the student council. I think I haven't read the entire manga, but I think
Kyo
that's what it
was
was.
not the silver hair
I-
one, right?
I have not read
Kyo-
anything on the
Kyo
manga.
is
All I
orange-
know about
Kyo is orange top kitty kitty.
Okay. That actually makes me happy that she ended up with him then, because I remember really liking him, and it seems like under
all I
any
know
other
about
offer.
all I know about Fruits Basket is J.O.'s radio drama.
I've
you need
watched
to
the
watch-
anime.
Have you? I'm about to say, have you watched the? Wait, Whitley, have you seen the anime?
Like one episode.
You need to watch more of it. I recently rewatched it like a month or so ago, actually, because the first time I watched it was in high school, and I finally sat down and rewatched it, and I was like, why have I taken so long to rewatch this show? It's still adorable, it's still charming, and it kind of pulls at the heartstrings a little bit. It made me cry. I'll admit it. I will admit it. But I still think it's
The
really
drama
good.
did that. J.O.'s drama did that.
Meh.
Especially the one with what's his name's backstory. The kid who's the rabbit.
Oh, the rabbit. Forget your name.
Yeah.
Forget his name right now. But
That was heartbreaking. That one.
yeah, his
I-
backstory is a little sad.
I honestly forget everything about Fruits Basket. Like it's just all slipped my mind over the years, and I never watched the anime. I only read the manga.
All right. I think
So
we've
that's all we
kind
have.
of-
Who's next?
Who's next?
I guess bottom line, I know I'm
Uh,
excited for the spin-off, but that's okay.
I guess Joe can go next.
I can go next if you would like.
Yes.
My news is Higurashi and Legend of the Galactic Heroes were picked up by Sentai Filmworks. So the second season of Higurashi is going to come out in the United States. And
Like, all
we
of
have
Higurashi
Legend of the
is
Galactic
making
Heroes,
so
which is
happy.
like, that's Legend of the Galactic Heroes is the big thing for me because I love the space opera, and it's like this huge series that we never thought we were going to get, and we're going to get it. Originally, when people were thinking maybe we can release this in America, they were saying, if enough Americans pay $1,200 for the box set, sure, we'll release it. And nobody put up a pledge to pre-order it. So now that we're getting it, I'm kind of happy. And my fiance is definitely happy about the second season of Higurashi because she loves cute things that get bloody. So
Yeah, I love Higurashi, I will admit that. But it's not just the second season too, it's the OVA. So all of Higurashi has been licensed by Sentai. So regular Higurashi,
What?
Higurashi Kai,
Wait,
and Higurashi Red.
Joe, did your
which
girlfriend
for me
just?
is really, really great. All of it has been licensed because
Yeah.
it's interesting because Higurashi was originally licensed by Genion and they only released the first season, but I guess it didn't do too well. And then when Genion went under, Funimation picked it up, but they never did anything with it. They just let the license expire eventually. So I'm very, very happy that someone has picked it up.
yeah.
I'm just hoping that they don't have like a $500 limited release edition. Although, for those who are reading, I will be covering my thoughts on the Funimation Blu-ray release, which is why I am not talking about that on this podcast.
Oh, are you talking about the Fullmetal Alchemist one?
Yes.
Oh, I read that.
Thankfully, I own all of Fullmetal Alchemist already, so I don't need to up it.
Yeah, the irony
Yeah.
the irony of that for me is that I have all of those 13 individual DVDs with the 4 episodes on each one. And I finally watched it, and the funny thing with that is, by the time I finally finished watching the original series, I was like, wait, they haven't done anything with this since like those 2 season box sets. What is going on? And then suddenly, here we go.
Oh, at least you were able to watch them in their entirety. The last disc in my second box set is badly scratched.
That's fair.
It came that way. So,
Thankfully
yeah,
for
but
me, it's
I
on
guess that's enough of
Netflix.
it right now. Yeah, everybody will get a chance to read my thoughts on that soon enough. Who wants to? I guess Steph can go next, and I'll save mine for last.
I suppose I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer today. This is kind of another old news story. I think this came out the same weekend for Anime Expo. Voice actress Shannon Burgess, she did a variety of voices, most notably from Cardfight Vanguard. She was actually found dead after she was reported missing in November. It's said that she was found on July 3rd, and she'd actually been missing since November 2014. Police had located her body in the home she shared with her husband, Joshua Burgess, in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada. And actually, her husband is currently in custody and has been charged with second-degree murder in relation to the investigation of her death. So,
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
it's interesting
That's-
because the police have been doing the ongoing investigation since November, obviously trying to find her, and then all of a sudden according to the staff sergeant Colin Chisholm, he said it wasn't a tip. He said, as the investigation progressed, it rapidly transitioned from a missing persons investigation into a homicide investigation. And it's interesting because between the couple, there was no history of domestic violence or conflict whatsoever. So it's really like what happened, what was going on, what really occurred, is it really her husband, all that kind of stuff. So, and it sucks because Shannon was 25 at the time of her disappearance, and I'm almost 25, so it feels, I guess I kind of connect to it a little bit, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this story kind of unfolds in the coming months.
I hope it doesn't turn into a Phil Hartman case.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, because if it turns into a Phil Hartman case, then there's a serious problem going on there.
What?
But that's me speculating, so I won't
What's
go
a
too
Phil
far
Hartman
into
case?
that. So Phil Hartman, who was Troy McClure and Lionel Hutz on The Simpsons. Back in the 90s, he was shot by his wife while he was sleeping.
Oh, I think I remember this.
And it turned out that his wife had alcohol and I think cocaine in her blood.
Oh, lovely.
Okay,
And they had been arguing about her drug addictions for a while, and I think she just snapped and killed him, and then she committed suicide. So I hope it doesn't turn into something like that or something similar to that. But again, like I said, that's me speculating.
Yeah,
it'd be
we
kinda
don't
scary if it
100%
did.
know if it was the husband at this point. We don't
Yeah,
know if it's the husband
I hope
at this
it
point,
stays
but
that way.
so far it's the most likely route that they're taking. Mhm.
Yeah. Note to our people who are listening: life sucks sometimes.
Just a lot.
Okay, so I will finish off the news on something more lighthearted to counteract the really harsh news that Steph shared.
This is probably why I should have actually gone first.
Don't worry, I saved the quote-unquote best for last. So Hayao Miyazaki is directing a computer-animated film.
What?
Yeah, it's a short film. I don't know if it's gonna come over here stateside in dub form, which could be a little annoying because the only short film I've seen of Miyazaki's was I think it was called what was it? It was the one about the angel that was set to a music video.
An angel?
On your mark.
Never heard of it.
That was it.
No, never heard of it.
It's okay. It's not like a great music video, but it's okay. But anyway, I'll read out like a little piece of it. So Hayao gets bored when his goal is maintaining the Ghibli Museum, so he needs things to fiddle around with. His son Goro Miyazaki said at an event last month as explanation for why his 74-year-old father was making a CG film. I remember reading in the comments that someone was complaining that it's, oh no, Studio Ghibli is adopting CG animation. This is going to be the end of hand-drawn animation. And I'm thinking to myself, no. I remember thinking back to a little quote from Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel's review of Toy Story when they mentioned that there will always be a place for hand-drawn animation.
So long as it's not the CG quality of, I don't know, Heroic Legend of Arzan and them soldiers, that's okay. Them soldiers, though. Let's be honest.
I wouldn't know. I don't know as much about like how CG is incorporated into anime as the rest of you do because I'm still fairly new to this stuff, but I would assume that if it's Studio Ghibli, even if it looks rough, they'll at least know how to use it somewhat. Like, Joe could probably be a better judge of this, but Ronnie the Robber's Daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not, even though the CG is kind of stiff, is it necessarily bad?
It's not bad. It has some good points. Like when they have a snowball fight, and when you ever have a snowball fight in animation, it's just they throw something and then suddenly their outfit is wet because that's what you can do with animation. making a snowball fight is really hard.
Right.
But with this, they can actually have snowballs where you're actually throwing snowballs and they explode like they're supposed to. But also to that, there are some weird character things like the hair doesn't look quite right, and when they smile or when they show their teeth, it doesn't quite look right. So it's a give and take for a little bit. It looks good, but they shouldn't have put the original drawings at the end of the credits because you just see it in full hand-drawn Ghibli style, and it's just like, oh, I want that. Why can't it be that? But we can't, and Ronia the Bandit's Daughter is a nice enough series. It's aims a lot younger because it's a story for little kids, but it's still good.
And I would assume that with Miyazaki on board, it'll probably still be good. Like, I'm up with the philosophy that medium is irrelevant if you have a good story to tell.
Right.
And it's not like a high budget movie that's going to signal the death of hand-drawn animation. Hand-drawn animation has been struggling in the 21st century, but it hasn't died. It's just gone on the back burner, and it occasionally comes back out to remind people that it's still alive. So I don't think this is going to kill it.
Personally, I think the best CGI use I've seen as of recently would be a show by Rock, actually. Because I finally started watching that. Because I think, if I remember what they did, they actually outsourced the CGI concert scenes to someone else to have them bring it in. It actually kind of works in a way. Because those scenes are just full straight CGI, separated from the digital hand-drawn animation. So with that, it actually works really nicely, believe it or not. And then you have the really, really bad ones, like Arslan again, and unfortunately, I ran into this one. Million Doll has terrible CGI, worse than Arslan, if you can believe it. Million Doll being one of the new shows this season, and I hated it.
As long as it's not like a Studio Gonzo type of CGI where they make it look really detailed and they run out of money afterwards. I wouldn't mind it.
That's fair. Gonzo.
One series that has done the
rather bad.
It separates the digital animation from the CG animation is Itotama. I reviewed it this season. I didn't like it, but the CG animation is absolutely beautiful and it's absolutely fluid. It's a vast difference from when what was it? Moribito. And its opening shot was this big crane whooshing around the character, and it crashed the frame rate. And that was a high-budget anime show. So I couldn't imagine what bad shows looked like at the time. But now it looks a lot better these days if you're doing it right.
Well, Moribito was like, what, mid-2000s or something anyway? So
yeah.
Something like that.
So I guess we've covered all the news that we can probably cover for now, because I don't want this podcast to go on for 2.5 hours.
Dance break!
A dance break.
Yeah, hey, if we can keep it under 2 hours, which Steamboy couldn't, that'd be wonderful. Hey!
Now I go?
Damn it!
No.
Yeah, we're going. The whole bit was ruined. I was gonna start singing to lead us out of our fucking music break, but no. Whitley killed it, so... Congratulations, Whitley.
Welcome back, everyone.
Well, now
Welcome back,
it works.
everybody.
Hi, everyone!
Yeah.
Joe's being a goober.
And I tried to be a purposeful goober, but that didn't work. I'm sad now.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
So, I guess we've gotten through the news enough already, and it's time to move on to the actual real topic at hand. Steamboy.
Okay.
Everybody give false enthusiasm.
There's my enthusiasm, okay?
Okay.
That's all you get.
I have to start us off with this.
Oh no, here we go.
Uh-huh.
I am I'm fully convinced this was meant to be a superhero origin movie.
Oh, I completely.
Oh, yes.
Joe, you agree with me, Joe?
I do. It's supposed to be like the Rocketeer.
Yes, because... And I'll explain why I think this. And it's skipping all the way to the end, but it needs to be said because
spoilers.
Yes, spoilers.
By the way,
I always assumed that we kind of didn't do we did spoilers with movies. I don't know.
Fair enough. Well, this isn't the first movie. This is the second movie we've done.
Exactly. That's what I'm assuming. Anyway, So at the end, when the credits roll, it shows all these still images of, there's these scientific advances in the world.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You see Ray go see his grandfather, who eventually dies, because, he's old, he kind of does die. But you also see images of Ray going around the world fighting what looks like evil machines in the escape pod suit, which is this jetpack suit that he got right at the end of the movie. And and even the last still image is of him confronting his father, who I guess would have been the villain if this continued. I am fully convinced this was supposed to be this big superhero origin movie.
Yeah, I have to say, this is the worst movie I've ever seen where I would have liked to have seen the sequel. Because you see the sequel and you see awesome things happening, like he's fighting a steampunk dragon on the top of the Eiffel Tower. And
I would have loved to see that.
Steampunk dragon. I like that description.
Oh, wait. Since Joe so aptly brought up steampunk dragon, I can now pull this up from my nitpick notes.
Oh, boy.
The crane machines at the end roar like dragons. Did anyone else catch that?
No.
No, but mostly because
be honest,
the
the movie
version I
lost
was
me by
looking
that
at
point.
was really, really poor in quality to begin with, so I couldn't catch that.
I caught that,
Now,
and
I guess
I caught that, and it was just a wonderful, why are we putting animal sounds to machinery?
well,
'Cause
let's back up a
reasons.
little bit first. Let's back up a little bit.
Walt's jumping the gun, of course.
I actually did this last time.
Oh,
with
big time. No, I this isn't jumping the gun. This is literally trying to hammer the bullet into the head before the gunfight started.
This is Walt jumping the gun, and
let's-
Walt should
let's-
shut up right now.
Yes.
Hey, focus. Let's back up a little bit, because I did this last time with our last movie that we discussed as well. Let's give a little bit of context of our histories with the movie.
Absolutely nothing.
This movie bombed. That's your context.
Okay,
I have
let's let...
I have no history with the film.
I have my own context. I'll
Okay.
let Whitley finish.
Okay. So I actually first heard of this movie in an Ebert and Roper review on At the Movies on YouTube, because I was in my Ebert and Roper phase and my At the Movies phase. So I was watching all of the old At the Movies video reviews on YouTube. And I saw this one as Steamboy. And interestingly enough, Richard Roper liked the movie, and Roger Ebert did not like the movie. And Roger Ebert's big complaint was that the movie was dull. The palette colors of the movie were very dull. It was really hard to see what was going on, and that everything was a mess. And he went on a whole tirade about how aesthetically it wasn't pleasing to look at. I ended up watching because I was curious. For the record, I think at the time it had a 59 on Rotten Tomatoes, which, as Steph knows, that's borderline rotten on that site.
Yeah.
I was curious, and I ended up seeing it, and I'm literally thinking to myself, right from the exhibition at the Royal Palace, I think it was, or no, it wasn't the Royal Palace, it was the O'Hara Mansion. I'm thinking to myself, this is a Michael Bay movie in anime form, and it dragged. And it dragged, and it dragged, and it dragged. And I was thinking to myself, with 30 minutes left, how long is this friggin' movie? I didn't realize until after I went to review it for Screw Attack that it was the dub, which I watched, was actually a shortened version of the film.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Bull crap! That dub is 2
Yeah.
hours long.
Nope, there's a
The
director's
dub
cut.
is an hour and 48 minutes long.
Oh Jesus!
The
I've
original
seen...
cut, I think,
Wait.
was
How?
Yeah,
how,
so
like,
if-
how over 2 hours are we talking here?
I think about
about
the same length
12
as
minutes,
Akira.
I think. I've seen every cut of the movie, so...
Okay.
Oh my god!
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, from what I gathered, Sony distributed it in the West, and in order to help it sell better, because from what I heard, it didn't sell well in Japan. In order to help the box office go up, Sony decided to do a Miramax of the movie, which, if anybody knows what the whole history behind Princess Mononoke and their dub, will understand exactly what that means. They pretty much hacked out 12 minutes of the movie just so that it would be shorter and it would sell better. It didn't help.
Princess Mononoke never got edited, though.
I know that, but that's what the term Miramaxing means.
Okay.
One thing.
Because Miramax is notorious for doing that with a lot of their more iffy releases, the ones they don't think are going to sell. They'll try and do that.
Huh. Never knew
Question, hand raise.
that. Yes, Walt.
Yep.
You.
What's the whole Princess Mononoke thing? Because I just watched movies. I don't know anime history.
I
Okay,
just watch things. I don't know shit.
I mean, it's true.
So,
like,
I
Never
want to
mind.
step in,
when
but
Miramax was approached by Disney and Studio Ghibli to release the dub of Princess Mononoke in the West, Miramax was hesitant because it was an adult animated movie. And they sent a letter to, I think, the head of Toho that owned them. I'm not entirely sure. And they asked them if they could cut the movie down so that it would be less tedious for people to watch. Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind in the 80s had received a hack edit called Warriors of the Wind. I'm sure Joe knows all about that.
yeah, it pissed Miyazaki off to no end, so he made it a demand that anybody who adapts it over here does not cut a damn thing.
Yeah. In the coolest response ever, with the Princess Mononoke Miramax cut, the head of the studio in Japan sent a samurai sword with the words engraved in it, "No cuts."
are you
Nice.
serious? That's
Yes.
awesome.
That is the best thing
know,
ever.
But Miramaxing has become a term now for when studios try to cut down foreign releases length times in order to make them more palatable, in quotes, for Western audiences. So Steamboy unfortunately suffered from, or maybe not so unfortunately, suffered from a Miramax.
I'm about to say
can I say that?
I don't even think the extra 12 minutes would have helped this film. That's my opinion. But
It doesn't.
Here's my thing though. You say this film had 12 minutes cut from it. The credits for this film are 5 minutes long, and this movie is 2 hours and 6 minutes. There is still 2 hours and 1 minute of this movie, even with the cut. I don't know. I don't really care how, if you want to say that 12 minutes might have made a difference. This movie was still way too freaking long for what it was trying to do.
yeah,
It was.
Yeah, I know.
What?
We'll talk about that more. When we dive into it a little deeper. But anyway, what's Joe's history with the movie? That I want to hear.
This came out when I was working for Anime Insider magazine. We were doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It was during the anime boom, and things were hot. I mean, we were going to New York City for the opening press conferences for Howl's Moving Castle, and there were 3 movies that were coming out at the time that were supposed to blow up. They were supposed to be the future of anime, and one was Howl's Moving Castle, and that got mixed reviews. I don't like it. Other people do, but moving on. And then there was
It
Appleseed.
got mostly positive reviews, actually.
Yeah. But anyway, then we have Appleseed,
Yeah.
which is terrible, and it got very bad reviews.
Hooray!
And then we got people like the soundtrack. That's what they liked from Appleseed. And then we have Steamboy, which is Katsuhiro Otomo, the director of Akira, his first feature that he's been working on for 10 years. And it came out, and literally everybody was like, well, that was the thing that exists. And
Yeah.
it's like, we're trying to be excited about this because, we want anime to continue to be a thing, but we can't.
No, 2005, if I know, was not a great year for anime films.
Not really.
Yeah, it was a good year for general animated films. Like Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit came out that year. So
Didn't the girl,
that should
wasn't
give
the
you a
girl
sense
who left
of,
her
like,
time an early 2000s film?
I think it was
2006.
6, yeah.
Okay, so
2006.
mid then.
Okay,
sorry.
so the following year. But to give a sense, like I actually had like a similar reaction, like looking back on it now the second time. As Joe, it's almost, to give it a sense of like my reaction. Picture, it's almost as if Katsuhiro Otomo had seen a Christopher Nolan movie and then a Michael Bay movie back to back.
Oh my
and
God.
thought, how can I improve on this?
I'm of the different opinion. I think they reached the same conclusion, like a loud, noisy, boring finale from different angles. We'll get into this in a little bit, but Katsuhiro Otomo has a specific thing he does with characters, and Michael Bay has specific things he does with quote-unquote characters. But
Quote,
yeah,
so-called characters.
I legitimately think that this movie is a crossbreed between a Michael Bay movie and a Christopher Nolan movie. It's almost as if the two of them worked on it and were dicking around one another, trying to screw each other over so that they could create their own vision. It honestly feels conflicted.
well, Christopher Nolan has a lot more character than this movie does. Some people may think he doesn't, but he does.
I know.
Oh, if you do not
He
see,
does.
if you don't know a thing about Christopher Nolan and character, if you've not seen Memento, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
You need to see
Okay.
it.
I probably do.
It is
It's
fantastic.
I will add it to the long list of films
It
and
is
anime
fantastic.
and everything that I need to look at.
It is fantastic. It is
Yeah.
wonderful.
But
So should we get to what this movie is
That's-
about? We
Yeah.
should talk about
Sure.
that.
so
So,
the premise is about this. I think it was a 13-year-old boy named Ray Steam.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
Interesting name, by the way.
Yeah, I know,
yeah, I
right?
get into series with
who
bad
lives
names.
in London,
Manchester.
Manchester, England?
Manchester.
In
Yep.
Manchester. I work with somebody at camp who's from Manchester, so I can probably ask her for the accent. But Manchester, England, in the mid 1800s, he gets this. He's an inventor's, like he's a mechanical prodigy. He works in a factory that deals with like steam power engines and whatnot. And he's an inventor, and he gets a package one day from his grandfather.
Who can we
Containing a
refer to
steam-
Grandpa now though as Patrick Stewart? Can we please?
Yeah.
Yes, that
I
that
have
might
to
been
bring
one
that
of
up.
the best decisions
I
of
have
this
to bring
movie.
that up.
Come on,
Yeah, well, I
Eddie.
also think that having Anna Paquin there wasn't that bad.
That's
an
true.
idea
Anna
either.
Paquin
But
is there as Ray, so
He gets a package from Patrick Stewart. You're
Yes,
welcome,
thank
Steph,
you.
with a mysterious ball of steam, and he's told
High
to
pressured steam.
keep it on him and not I think it's like not give it to anybody, and I don't remember where he was supposed to take it to.
He was supposed to take it to Robert Stevenson.
yes.
Because
Okay.
Yes.
That's how much this movie gripped me, people. I can't even remember
Here,
details, and I've seen it
let
twice.
me do the quick plot synopsis then. Basically, Ray is given a monumentous task of protecting what is a steam ball. It is a very highly concentrated essence of purified steam, or I guess steam made from very purified water, just naturally purified in Iceland, and it has the power to basically revolutionize steam engines, steam work, and to power what his father, Edward Steam, has been working on, the Steam Castle, this great, I guess, really depending on how you want to look at it, depends on who you side with in the film, because
That's true.
this film is very much basically the use of science for advancement versus the use of science for betterment.
It's also a four-way MacGuffin battle.
It kind of is. Cuz you have
Yeah.
cuz you kind of have
Uh,
like cuz you have Ray obviously. And then you have
Yeah.
You
have Grandpa
Edward,
Patrick,
Patrick Stewart,
Grandpa
and
Patrick,
Robert Stevenson.
Robert
and they're
Stevenson,
all
and the
fighting.
dad. Yeah. You have all four of them like
And then you
fighting.
have Scarlet, who's useless. I'm sorry,
my
I
God.
hate Scarlet.
I'm sorry, I love you, Carrie Walgreen, but you were wasted in this.
Simon!
You were
Where are you?
you were
I'm
wasted.
gonna correct you on something right now, and it's how do you pronounce her name? She herself has said it's Kari, as in Ferrari. That's how you
I'm
remember it. I'm
sorry.
just saying.
I'm-
It's Kari.
I like how
Walgren.
we're all.
Carrie.
I like we're saying this
Kari
character's useless,
Walgreen was
and you just care about how
wasted in this
how this
movie.
person pronounces her name.
I
That's
love-
the only defense you can
Well,
make.
I love Kari too, but Scarlet is dumb as a bunch of fucking rocks. I'm sorry.
Kari is one of my favorite voice actresses, but like she was wasted
yeah.
here. Like to give an example, Scarlett O'Hara.
Yeah, the most original
obviously
name.
a reference to Gone
The
with
most
the
original
Wind
name you'll
people.
ever see.
She's bratty. She has 5 mothers, according
Mhm.
to her.
she
She yells a
she's
lot.
your typical snotty
She
rich
abuses
kid.
her dog by punching it. Does
She's
nothing.
a spoiled little rich kid, bottom
and we're
line.
supposed to consider her an important
She's a
character.
spoiled rich kid, bottom line.
Okay, here I get it. I get what her character was, and here's what her character. She steps onto the battlefield. She sees someone is in the Steam Warrior
Yeah, I
suit,
know.
sees them bleeding, and she realizes this is horrible. these are the weapons we're selling.
There's a person
and there's
in there.
no revolution to that. No resolution. It's like she realizes, oh god, war's terrible. We never know that she changes her ways. We never know she stops producing weapons.
She never
Hell, even when she knows we're declaring war on fucking Britain, she's like, you better make sure we win.
It's funny that you bring this up because she has that moment, yes, and then like a minute later she's in the steam castle with Edward and like, this is so cool. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I think my like, I'm done with this character moment, and Ebert actually pointed it out in his review as well. She walks into the middle of the battlefield to find Simon with her umbrella. Dumb move, by the way. You're asking to get blown away.
That I will admit that took some balls to do, but still stupid.
Yeah. So she she gets like caught up in a blast. Her umbrella flies backward. She's holding on to it. Her umbrella flies backward, and then she sees a guy like a mechanical suit fly behind her. She looks at it and she sees a guy dead, with a puddle of blood coming out of him. Sorry, and her initial reaction is, "There's a living person in here." I wanted to go into the movie, grab her by her neck, slap her, and say,
I knew.
"You think?"
To be fair, when I first saw this movie, when the steam soldier was first introduced, I actually thought it was a robot.
I will admit that. I will admit that too, because this is the
Really?
first time I've seen it, and I kind of had, when she saw the person dead body in there too, I was kind of like, wait a sec. It kind of clicked for a second. I'm like, wait, hold on.
I do think that's really well done, because the way these soldiers are forced to move in these suits, they
you
do
can't
seem very
tell.
mechanical. You have no way of knowing there's a person in there. It is supposed to be a very revealing moment that, oh, even though we do have these greater weapons, even though we are trying to make weapons to defend ourselves better, we're still just a guy in a suit of armor, same as 1,000 years ago. We're still trying to kill each other, not find tools that'll kill each other for us.
My only question is, how many people are working
Really?
for the O'Hara Foundation? Because that was a lot of those soldiers, and all the people flying and all this crap. How many people work for them?
To that, I'm gonna answer your question with another question. Who keeps applying to work for Cobra?
Touche.
You really can't ask that question, because they're always gonna find imaginary people just pull out of their ass for that.
I'm sorry to rain on both of your parades, but I knew it was a person even before that, and I had a hard time following this movie. I saw it twice. The first time I saw it 5 years ago, I even knew it was a person before she said
Well,
it.
here's
I'm slow.
Here's the thing with me. First time watching it, I was bored out of my mind. So if I was able to attach to something, that's fine. I just like, it was drawn out so much. Like, it took its time, like, trying to progress things, and some things that were even unnecessary. Like, I don't even know if there was supposed to be some sort of love story between Ray and Scarlet. I was confused.
Here's the thing, though.
I'm like,
if there was no need, because we had already established he had a thing for another girl back in his hometown.
Exactly.
Who I thought was going to be like the main love interest, who I thought would join him or something because of the way they were.
I thought that was his sister.
No, that was of another family.
That's a neighbor's kid. That's a neighbor's child.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were taking care of the neighbor's kid.
But you're right. Like, we already had this very likable female protagonist in the film that we could have easily thrown into the plot, have her kidnapped by the O'Hara, and make Ray come there himself for that reason. But no, instead we leave her in Manchester, and then we go to London. Oh, now Scarlet, who punches her dog the first time we meet her, now she's gonna be our female protagonist. I'm like, okay.
I'm just like,
Yeah, I'm not. I know it's kind of like weird to say in the postmodern world. I'm not against conventional heterosexual romances if they're done well, but this is not even like an attempt at a romance. It's just, we're thrown in this horrible situation. We just have to start getting along. Like, I've seen people who hate each other more than Scarlet and Ray in better movies that have had more chemistry.
Here's the thing, though. Why did Scarlet Scarlet was the first one to put the moves on Rey.
Right.
Like, I think that
It
should
was
be
her.
said, because she gets him to come out to the expedition in the middle of the night, starts with, like, which one of these Scarlets in the Mirrors do you think is prettiest? And he looks over at her, and she's basically giving him the fuck me eyes. Like,
Pretty much.
Oh, God.
it's terrible to say about children, but
It's
tell me
true.
it can be described any other way. Like, and I'm like, well,
It's not.
you literally just spent 10 minutes before this calling him an idiot, saying how dumb he is.
Yeah.
And then, he was also kind of swapping around, like, being like, oh, Rey, come up, look at the Terrans, it's so beautiful, you can see all the expedition. And it's like, but didn't you just hate him? Like...
I think that Scarlet is
Yeah.
like the most tsundere girl I have seen in a long ass time.
It's one of the worst written tsundere girls, and by
Terrible.
God, tsundere by its nature is almost universally badly written, but...
I honestly think the movie would have been perfectly fine without that romance subplot. It would have been fine
It was
without it.
It was needless.
Can we
and
talk about
I
Rey?
hated Scarlet.
It was
I hated her
pointless.
so much.
So pointless.
Yeah, I was done with
Can we
her
talk
when
about
she
Rey?
showed up, and within the first 2 minutes, she punches her dog twice, and I was like, no,
Punches the dog.
done with
Punches
her
the dog.
kid.
Puts the dog in the vase, and then sits down, just casually eating dinner. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
They could have had a great character moment for Rey if he had just been like, you shouldn't, even if he had just said something, not even acted, like it would have just like been, oh, he is a nice guy. He doesn't like seeing a dog get hit, and he like spoke up about it.
Yeah,
But, I mean, to be fair though, Rey is more supposed to be, I guess this is where we get into the Steam family and how they're not really characters, more ideals that we're supposed to side with. And that's kind of what Rey is.
Well, Rey has a bit of character.
A bit,
although
but
it's not great.
here's
one.
how
Like,
I saw the film. I saw Rey. He did have some character built up in the beginning, and I liked that.
Yeah, he gets
But-
built up in the beginning because he hits a boy in the head with a steam gun.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, yes.
Because he's being bullied.
yeah. To be fair,
Well, yeah, but like, come on, Joe. I would never hit someone with a traumatizing blunt object like that. for
well, you
people.
never lived in 1800s England.
I would punch the kid. I wouldn't hit him with a metal whatever that is. That's enough to give a concussion. I'd be terrified after that.
Well, I think that was the point. He was being bullied, and he didn't want to be bullied. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with it because I could tell just from the way they were speaking to Rey, this had happened many times previously, where
Right.
he had had his family mocked. And I almost imagined, like, yeah, this is pretty much just a boiling point. Like, maybe this is the one time he actually has a weapon and he's gonna fight back.
Yeah.
I did not buy it. I'm sorry. And I was the punching bag for all the kids in my grade in grade school. I would never go that far.
Well, to each his own, then, is really all I can say of that. Because, yes, you can
I'm-
talk all you want about how you would handle a situation. This is Rey's story, and this is how he decided to handle
Right.
it. And it's a part of how it builds
Yeah, I
his
mean, like,
character.
I mean, admittedly, like I also do think that like the scene where he remember like when he comes home, he comes home and he's given the dunce's cap,
Oh, good God.
and he's like, I've been working all day, I'm hungry. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I do think that's a little cruel, but at the same time, he did kind of deserve the dunce cap.
I was just so giddy when I saw the dunce cap. I'm like, they're using this. Yes. I was excited.
that
I'm
was
like,
wonderful.
yes. That
Well,
was
that's
great.
That's actually historically accurate. That's what they used to do when kids would misbehave. They would put dunce caps on them, put them in a corner, and not give them a meal.
Yeah, I know. I was
cruel
just so
by our
excited to
standards,
see
but-
that. And I'm like, because I don't know the last time I'd seen a film or a TV show that used a dunce cap. I was excited. Just as this is a bit of the history nerd and made like a little giddy. So
So one of the things on its early character
Yeah.
development is he's working in that textile factory with a giant machine. Obviously, in 1850, machines weren't designed to be safe, and he's underneath all the mechanical stuff fixing it, and we never see him fixing it. So the scene is meant to establish him as a mechanical genius, and yet we never see him being a mechanical genius because it's all happening under steam and
Yeah, like,
Well, we see it later when he gets
he gets that
that
bike of his
that
working.
what that's
like,
that when he gets that spinny wheel thing to work.
And
Yeah.
also we see him working with his father in the steam castle. We see him basically following orders from his grandfather when they have to really quickly figure out how they're going to move the steam castle back into the river. It's...
He's also inquisitive. He keeps asking questions, and Scarlet Scarlett's like, "What are you,
No,
stupid?" And he's like,
No,
I'm
we're not
stupid,
getting back
I'm
on the
asking
Scarlet Hate
questions.
train. We're
You
not
I'm
gonna
gonna
sit
go-
here all
I'm gonna go
podcast.
with the bike.
Okay.
It is like him trying to drive a clock. That's what it felt like to me.
That was amusing, I will say that. But I kind of want to say, and this is like 2 seconds of going back to Scarlet, I apologize. But I think, especially when Ray gets into London, both him and Scarlet get rather wishy-washy in their decisions and their choices as characters. Like, that's how I felt. Like,
Well,
I don't know. It was weird to me.
None of the characters are really
No, they're not.
consistent.
To get back to the Steam family, you have Patrick Stewart and
Patrick
Edward
Stewart.
Steam.
And
I'm sorry, I had to.
Just to say his name once. There's the grandfather, who's played by Patrick Stewart, Lloyd
Whee!
Steam, who's the grandfather, and we have Edward Steam. And both of them are sort of two ideals about science, basically set in this world where science is at its greatest.
Can we call them Patrick Stewart and Alfred?
Yeah,
because
because it's Alfred Molina. who
I don't see a
voices
reason
Edward.
why we can't.
We could do that.
First off, before we
Yeah.
explain their ideals, I think it's important to talk about almost the prelude of the movie, where we see the two of them working together to get the water they need for the steam ball.
Oh, yep.
And actually creating the steam ball. And this is kind of the turning point in the story where they form their ideals, because almost before this, they seem opposite. And I think that is important. We see Patrick Stewart is very risk heavy. He's willing to go the extra mile if it means, even if it risks harm to himself, just to secure that bit of science that'll advance us further. But Edward is very much, he's very careful. He cares about the safety of
Alfred Molina.
Apologies.
Throw me the idol, I'll throw you the
He's
whip.
caring about the safety of people.
Throw me the idol, I'll throw
Huh?
you the whip. That's who he played.
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
Throw me the idol, I'll throw you the whip.
Just keep going, Walt.
Alfred Molina was Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man.
Oh!
that guy.
Oh! Okay. No, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. And Edward's he's caring for his people. He wants to stop the experiment. And then we see the accident, the one that scars Edward's face, the one where Lloyd thinks, or I guess he's ready to tell people he's dead. And then we see almost a role reversal, where Edward is willing to risk whatever it takes to advance science to the next level. And Patrick Stewart, again, I'm sorry I'm not using the proper names. Patrick Stewart wants to stop this at any cost because he feels that he's been betrayed. He feels like the way that his technology is being used to create weapons is wrong and that it's not proper. And basically, it ends up coming back to how the Steam Castle is used by both of them. And I don't know if we want to spoil that, do we?
We've already spoiled enough.
Can I just say that?
Yeah, fair enough.
Can I just say that getting Patrick Stewart and Alfred Molina to play off each other was brilliant.
That is rather fun. I did enjoy that. I will admit that.
Especially since in the Nazca, the Valley of the Wind commentary, where Patrick Stewart also played a character there, he said that I've never actually had the opportunity to really lip sync in a dub. I've mustache synced.
Mustache synced? What's that?
So, yeah, his character in Nazca, the Valley of the Wind was Lord Yupa.
That's, I think, yeah, he has the big mustache, but it covers his lips.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
he didn't have to lip sync. It basically was just like the mustache moved up and down a bit, and he just kind of had to match himself to sound remote.
Yeah, so he said it would be a really interesting one day if I ever get the chance to actually lip sync. Well,
Yeah.
here you go.
I wish it was a better movie, but
And it
there
came
you
out in
go.
the same year.
Yeah.
That came out in the same year,
Going
so
back
there
to
you
the
go.
father and grandfather dynamic. First of all, I found it a little weird, but like the philosophy-wise, it makes sense. Because looking at it, you have Grandpa Patrick going off about how science is meant to like enhance lives, like enrich it in a way. While at least throughout the film, I can't necessarily say like before it, Alfred Molina, Papa Alfred. Weird calling him this way. Apparently, the philosophy that he went to after the accident was more like for the sake of money and capitalism. I guess that's what the idea was.
Power.
Which doesn't even make sense.
Okay, here
Does-
I
that
didn't
was
get that.
because that was the direction
I
we were
think
going
that was
with.
Simon. That's what Simon wanted. I think
No, Alfred Molina was also on that side for a bit. which, like I
I
said,
didn't
did not
get
make
that.
sense because
I didn't get that at all.
It,
I got that he
Well-
he truthfully believed that we needed stronger weapons and we needed to advance science as quickly as possible, simply so we can have the best weapons to protect ourselves. And I believe that's what he believed the Steam Castle was the ultimate advancement in technology, the ultimate show, almost an ultimate show of force to protect people. And I think that in a way that's kind of, I'll be honest, I did like this kind of dynamic they had because of that, because it really felt like both Alfred and Patrick have a point. They do have a point in their arguments.
yes.
But I feel like the biggest problem with Alfred is that he has teamed up with these very money-grubbing people who are
Right.
willing to shoot a child in order to get their asset back, who is willing to hire these people and declare war on Britain just to basically sell products to every other military in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
I guess on some level, like, Alfred's motives do and don't make sense. They make sense in the sense that he was the one who got injured. You see, like, his second introduction is him with a fake eye and his hair is all
Right.
burnt and he looks kind of disfigured. He has
yeah.
a fake arm. But at the same time, I think it's a little extreme for somebody who went through a serious accident like that. I honestly think that Patrick's motivation in some way should have been his.
This is where things got a little bit weird for me too. I feel like, because again, I can't speak for how Edward or Alfred's motivations prior to the accident are. I can imagine that they were the same as Grandpa Patrick. That's what I can guess. But then, like, after the accident, it's kind of
Yeah.
like, what part of the accident really just made him do a switch? What, did it have anything to do with his father, like Grandpa Patrick,
quote
or
the
was it something else?
movie-
It didn't really give too much explanation. Just all of a sudden, Alfred Molina is just like, I want to finish the Steam
To
Castle.
quote the movie, this is how Alfred described it. When he got bombarded with the steam, he felt the true power. He felt the true force. He felt what they had been creating and what they could unleash on the world and how they should unleash it on the world. And in a way, it almost does sound like a revenge plot that wasn't a revenge plot. But it's
You wanna
you're
know
right.
what-
It doesn't make too much sense, but
Yeah.
he did have a reason.
You want to
even
know
if it
what that
was
description? You want to know what that description sounds like to me when the way you were saying it? Doctor fucking Octopus.
Okay.
Lightning!
Now, I have been quiet because my computer has been overheating and it's been cutting me in and out of the conversation. But the thing about Katsuhiro Otomo's characters is that you can find this back in Akira. All of his characters are like, I am the scientist. I represent science going out of control. And I am the military. I am the military going out of control. You can find all of
That's
this in
true.
Akira. And then it's just continuing on. They just have less character and it's more muddy. I think Papa Molina his motivations is he wants humans to be as gods, because there's that one scene where he just turns around and he's describing his dreams and there's this heavenly light, so he wants humans to become more powerful, and that becomes having more weapons or having
And like the heavenly light shines down on him. That's what you're talking about. If I can steal a joke from Nostalgia Critic, I am Jesus. I am Jesus.
Oh my lord.
I'm sorry if that's gonna hurt
But
you
also-
later, Stephanie.
Great.
The one thing I also find interesting is that technically, like, there are 4 villains in this movie, and one of them is only a villain for like a few seconds. And with the whole steam on the face part, it makes sense that he would be affected by it. But then why is it that when Stevenson becomes a villain for like
here's
his
the thing
brief-
about that. The whole point of this movie,
Yeah?
to me, seems that it has a message of how science should be used, and Ray is supposed to represent the audience, in going through this journey, trying to figure out which one do we agree with, and he's experiencing every part of the argument. He starts working with his father after hearing his argument. He starts working with his grandfather after hearing his argument. And the first thing he asks, but here's the problem, biggest problem I have. He asks Robert Stevenson, what he thinks science is for. He says it's happiness, which sounds like his grandfather's, and then when he gets what he wants, he pretty much switches immediately to the father's point of view, and that's the biggest problem is the whole point of having this big argument kind of moral, like where the audience is supposed to choose, but like what they think is right. Basically, what happened was there's way too much skewed onto Alfred Molina's side. Like, almost everyone is against each other, but everyone agrees with Alfred's way of seeing it, and no one agrees with Patrick, and it almost forces Ray to go over to his grandfather's side just for that reason. Just for the fact that people are willing to manipulate him to get this steam ball after everything that's occurred.
What's interesting to me on that, in that regard, is like, when you say, because Robert Stevenson, you don't exactly see him too much into the villain. However, you see David on that end a little bit more. David, the blonde, obligatory glasses character, he's
the guy who looks like the villain from Castle in the Sky.
Yeah, he has more. Has more of a villain moment than Stevenson does. Stevenson, like you said, Walt, he just suddenly switches gears like right off the bat, and suddenly he decides, okay, we're gonna fight against the Steam Castle. Meanwhile, David is going off on like, but Ray, we need to do this to advance the world, to help the world. We can't let the O'Hara Foundation do it before we do. And it's like, bullshit. It's like, fuck you.
And he's a Russian.
I didn't know he was Russian, but...
And he's a Russian. The
know
Russians, they're always the bad guys.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know he was Russian.
If you listen to his accent, it's a little bit Russian.
Robert Stevenson, I think, is supposed to represent the government in whatever way it does. It's like, oh, yes, we need to be happy. But happiness means the government keeping stable. And to be stable, we need these weapons.
That makes sense to some degree, because he does bring in, like, Scotland Yard and the police and everything from England.
The police who are very incompetent to stop the Steam Army.
Who walk into the freaking enemy.
Well, they're not even incompetent. They're ill prepared. If I were a police officer in 18...
Here's my thing, though. Yeah. How readily available was guns at this time? Like, because we were in the middle of the Industrial Revolution, so I imagine, like, mass production of firearms must be at least beginning at this point.
I would think so.
Are they ill-prepared because of the time period they live in, or because they just, like, completely underestimated? Because...
I think they were caught with their pants down.
Yeah, really, I
definitely,
think so.
After their first big defeat against the soldiers, they suddenly brought in all these cannons and these mobile tanks that Stevenson has built. And, like, then it becomes more of an even fight, even after the aerial and the best moment in the movie, the Aqua Trooper walking up the stairs, slip, clunk, 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 clunk. That.
I'm sorry, I did not laugh once, in the movie, but you describing it.
I didn't laugh at it either.
But it was the one moment of humanity the movie needed.
I didn't laugh at it either, but I'm just going there like, what?
I often think of it as when I wrote my review for Screw Attack, which by the way is gone now. I mentioned in it that it's typical steampunk logic. You have planes, you have blimps, you have trains, you have all these fancy inventions, and there are no cars.
Yeah.
Well, there are tanks.
Welcome to Victorian England.
It was the 1866, I believe.
1866.
Yeah, I think that was right, because... it was definitely... Because I remember from the credits, his grandfather died in 1869, so definitely before then. So I would say you're right on that.
Mm-hmm.
And Roger Ebert had a little...
There are contradictions in the logic. I mean, I love the way the world is designed, even though, like Ebert said, it's hard to
If we're getting onto artwork, I have no idea why Ebert didn't like this. Okay, maybe I get it, because I do feel it was a little bit on the darker side, but visually, I think this movie was beautiful.
He had a reason.
It was, but it was also comes with a double-edged sword, because on one hand it is beautiful, on the other hand, everything looking like one color. There's a lot of gray and black, and there are a lot of scenes that I couldn't see anything because it was obscured by shadows.
For me, well, here's the thing on my end. I kind of like the look of everything. I mean, playing with the dirty tones and stuff like that. That was more of a stylistic choice in my mind, and I think it worked. But you are right. I mean, there were those scenes where it was really, really dark, and I'm glad you brought this up, because I thought it was only going to be me and the version that I was looking at. where it was really, really dark and hard to see. But I kind of slightly chalk that up to the quality of the version I was watching online. So, that and the audio.
Oh no.
But I'm glad you brought that part up.
The audio might have been an issue on your end, though. Although when I was watching it this time, the audio was really quiet.
Zachary, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to disagree with you because I can't think of one moment in that movie where I thought the shadows obscured my vision. In fact, even things I figured would be obscured were in insane amounts of detail, like moments when they're riding up the elevator the first time they're in the steam castle, and I can look in the background and see like all these little gears moving, just everything functioning as it should in this perfect made machine. And just, not even just the colors or anything, animation, cinematography. This is a beautiful film to watch.
It is really nice.
In almost every way. That is honestly the one reason I think you should watch this film, is you're not going to find many films that are as beautiful as this. This film apparently took 10 years to make.
Yep.
Hundreds of thousands of stills, tons of CGI, and it all shows because
And the CGI was used well.
Yes.
Oh, it was great.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't this. It wasn't
like,
Arlon.
why-
It
like,
wasn't
why-
Arslan Soldier bad. I was so happy.
Well, firstly, Steph, it's movies. Movies tend to have a better distribution of budget. than
That may
shows.
be true, but that
But
doesn't necessarily
on top
mean
of
that
that-
they use it wisely, though.
No, but on top of that, when I was watching the movie both times, thinking to myself, they're putting a lot of effort into this movie. Why are they not putting a lot of effort into this story?
I think Otomo lost the forest for the trees. He got so into this world because he did most of the, animation himself. He did a lot of it himself, in fact. So he kind of got lost in this world, and he didn't think about, is the character thing working? Is this working?
It's a hard thing to just step back when you've been working on something for as long as Steamboy and really ask, is this as good as you think you can make it? Especially for animation, because once you've got a script confirmed and once you've started drawing everything, it's not easy to just back up and say, we need to rewrite this, we need to redo this. I wouldn't be surprised if the script was done years before the animation, and it just, everyone got so involved in this that no one could really take that step back that needed to be done and ask, is this gonna be the film we want to make it, or have we lost ourselves here? Like you just said, Joe.
I think that hold on.
We
I
talk
think that Otomo had a similar problem with Akira on this. Actually, was that the manga was ongoing at the time. That didn't help much, but he was more focused on the visuals, and then parts of the story and the character development, at least in my opinion, it actually did suffer a little bit. So
Yeah,
I think it could be it's the same situation here with Steamboy. Like, the visuals, they were really nice. Granted, I couldn't see parts of it. It was really nice, but the story and the characters, again, they suffered greatly for it.
So I think it kind of worked in advantage of Akira to some extent, because even though he got lost, Otomo knew the starting point and the ending.
Right.
I think, though, that's the really important part of any story. Like, you can make it. One thing I've learned about storytelling is you can meander in the middle, but as long as you know where you're beginning and where you're going to end, and you keep the two lines connected at some point, it's fine. It worked in Akira's favor. Steamboy, I don't think he knew where it was going to end.
I think he did. He was going to end with superhero action in the next movie.
Yeah, which never happened.
Exactly.
Well, then you get the Tales from Earthsea problem
Yeah,
again,
you kind of do here.
where it feels like it's building up to something a lot bigger, and it's not actually
And I mean,
going there.
in the Earthsea category, again, you're adapting, like, 1 out of, like, what, 3, 4 books? I think we discussed this before.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, you said it was the toughest one to adapt. So that can kind of be a different story entirely, because that one's already a tough one to adapt. But at least with Akira, it's an ongoing manga. You're starting from the beginning of it, essentially.
Okay.
And you don't even know what the end result is. You're just going with it, and then you just want to do pretty weird things with visuals, so...
Yeah. Can we talk about the soundtrack to Steamboy?
And this is where I have to admit something really embarrassing.
Uh-oh.
I was
What?
so caught up on the visuals, like the soundtrack just became background noise to me, and I really didn't pay attention.
It wasn't very good, so don't worry about it.
I had...
Okay, good.
Well, it's funny. I remember the soundtrack. It's Steve Yablonsky. He does the work for he does the soundtracks for Michael Bay's movies.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. But thank you, Joe, for telling me that.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
To be fair, if I
But-
didn't notice it, it didn't do anything wrong. Then I can at least say that much, right? Like,
Well, but there were definitely like there were I think a few points where I was listening to the soundtrack. Firstly, Yablonsky's soundtrack for Steamboy is far better than his work for Michael Bay. I'm gonna put that out there right now. I know that there are Bay fans who will get mad at me for saying that, but it's true. I will die on that hill.
You will be the lonely
But as far as
person.
I'm concerned, there are a few highlight moments. There's like a really triumphant beat that goes when like whenever like Ray is on a high note, it'll go to a really high like triumphant note, and then when it gets intense, it'll go this really like ominous marching beat. So it did stand out in my mind, although if I had to be honest, once the big battle started, I would have preferred the 1812 overture being played for the rest of the movie.
Honestly, on my end, because this movie was honestly really boring to me, the soundtrack was so forgettable, unfortunately. So I kind of had the opposite problem of, who was it, Walt then? I wasn't.
I
was
just got into the visuals.
I was just-
completely forgot the soundtrack.
and I was just bored, so I didn't really pick up on the soundtrack much at all. So I'm like, I can't really.
Can I just say this also about this movie? When did the big fight between O'Hara Corp Foundation and Great Britain start? Because I feel like this one big action scene went on for like an hour.
Yeah.
That's when the movie kind of lost it. It was around the hour mark.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and it really was just a big hour-long action sequence.
And I don't mind that if it's done well. Like the Avengers had an hour-long action scene like at the end, and it was
Right.
fine.
Yeah,
But it goes back to my theory, which is that your action scene is only as compelling as your characters.
Yeah.
I agree and disagree, because I think another big part of just the movie you were talking about, it wasn't constant action. There were moments of reprise. People rested, people talked, characters kind of kept going. And I feel, and there were moments like that, but they were so few and far between in Steamboy that in the end you kind of felt worn out by all the action going
And
on
also
all
the
at once.
Yeah, it didn't help.
Can I use a different comparison?
Do it.
Yeah, so the second Lord of the Rings movie, the battle at the very end, it goes on forever. But I'm not as draining as it is. I wasn't bored by it because there were actual characters in that movie. I cared about what was going on in that battle.
I've seen the movie. Can you remind me what that fight scene is, though? Because it's been a while.
It was the one. I think it was the Battle of Helm's Deep.
I'm not gonna know names. Location names, at least.
It was the one where remember like
Was it like the really dark place with like this really high-built wall? They were fighting like orcs or something.
Yes,
Okay,
and it
I
ended with
remember
Gandalf.
that.
It ended with Gandalf coming in, and then the Ents coming in, flooding the entire
Oh,
place.
okay, yeah. Then I do remember that.
So again, a really long battle scene that lasted about an hour at least.
Yeah, I believe you.
But again, like the difference here is that in the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, I cared about the characters. In this movie, I couldn't give a shit about anybody.
Yeah, that's my problem too, because the characters weren't exactly developed, and with Ray and Scarlet especially, they were rather wishy-washy, and the dynamic between Grandpa Patrick and Papa Alfred was weird. I couldn't really invest myself in the characters, and then by the time the battle happened, I just was like, am I done now? I just kept checking the time. I'm like, how much longer do I have on this movie? Come on now.
I guess.
I mean, is there anything else that we need to whip up? I think if there's nothing else we have to talk about, we might as well get to our final
Yeah,
thoughts.
we'll conclude. So our overall, I guess, DC statements about the movie.
This movie's boring as
Alright,
balls.
The story is lackluster. I will say the visuals are stunning. and the movie's worth a watch just for that.
Yeah, I would have to.
Just know what you're getting into, folks,
yeah,
if you're gonna watch this.
I would definitely have to say the visuals are nice, even though some parts I couldn't see it. The story was long and drawn out, and the characters for me were the worst part because it bugged me so much that they were either wishy-washy or they weren't exactly developed, or I was really confused with their dynamics. It was weird. Like, if the characters were developed a bit more properly, it could probably help with the story a little bit more, because I feel like you can have a decent story, but at the same time, if you don't have good characters to carry it through, then your story's gonna end up sucking because of it.
If I can interrupt our final thoughts for this one thing, we never said what Patrick Stewart's vision of the Steam Castle was. And
Motherfucking
amusement park.
Motherfucking carnival.
It's a big, and I think that does matter to his character and his motivation, because it's pretty much the perfect contrast to what Alfred's vision of the Steam Castle was. His vision was this big force of man and science, and Patrick Stewart's was, we'll use this science to bring fun and laughter and happiness to the world.
He wanted to bring sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns into the world.
Is that a
carousel?
carousel?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Here's the thing though about that, and this should have been on my nitpick notes. That carousel, I think, went around the entire like Steam Castle.
I think it did, actually, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Think of how numb your butt would get sitting on that.
Oh my god. You would be sore for days.
Yeah, so... also, just one point about the end credits. Scarlett O'Hara becomes
for
a
some
fighter
reason.
pilot. How the hell does that work?
I am going to kind of throw in a little fan canon here. Or I guess I can't really say I'm a fan of the visuals. I can't say I'm a fan of this movie. She is known as the Red Baroness just because everything is red.
All right, but anyway, back to
that's not confirmed fact, by the way. I'm just making that up.
Final thoughts. So, I'm guessing Walt has already given his.
Yep.
Stephanie's given hers.
I have not given mine. We'll see
go
if my computer decides to not crap out on me, but my final thoughts are it's the usual visually appealing, everything else not so much movie. It's like I've seen it in Appleseed, I've seen it here, I've seen it in Captain Harlock, the new one. It's where it is absolutely beautiful, and that can keep my attention for half an hour, but eventually characters have to come in or something, and it doesn't. And it doesn't help that it is steampunk, because the action is clunky and everything is heavy, and it's not very fun to watch the action sequences. So it just doesn't work, and it especially doesn't work when you have Scarlett in and she starts punching dogs.
Yeah. We love you, Kari Walgren, but fuck, why?
So here's my thesis. When we did our first Heavy Storms podcast, we discussed Tales
I remember
from
that one.
Earthsea.
I was there.
Tales from Earthsea, for all of its problems as a bad movie, it's innocuous. I know that people often say that they would they want movies to exhibit some kind of reaction as opposed to no reaction. They'd rather an annoying movie than a boring movie. After having seen these two particular films, as well as many other films, I strongly disagree. I think that if you want to experience some kind of emotional reaction on a base level, you can just shove a hot poker up your rectum.
Wow, getting violent with our audience here.
I would greatly disagree, but go on.
He used the analogy in Earthsea. He used the analogy in Earthsea. This isn't the first time.
Wait, was that a thing in Earthsea?
Yep.
I have not seen Earthsea.
Anyway,
so I'm sorry. I thought you were just being sassy.
Getting going on here. So Steamboy's problem is even bigger than that. Tales from Earthsea is innocuous. You complain about it, but at the end of the day, there is nothing terribly wrong with it that hurts it in the long run. Like, I'm gonna forget. I already forgotten talking about it. Steamboy lingers. It lingers and lingers and lingers. I saw the movie for the first time 5 years ago. I still remember hating it. It was one of the worst movies I'd ever seen in my life. It is not that bad in hindsight, but it is still pretty bad. It's painful. It drags. The characters are interesting. The animation, while pretty, is really hard to look at sometimes. The soundtrack is barely memorable, and overall, it is a huge, clunky disaster. Avoid it.
I just see it just to say that you saw it and just for the visuals. That's just me, though.
Yeah, same.
I saw the live action Kashurn and saw something much worse, so I can't say it's like absolutely terrible, but it's not good.
Yeah, like, I mean, this is up there with, like, The Passion of the Christ and Super, and movie 43 is one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Oh.
I liked parts of Passion of the Christ, but that's just me.
Another movie I've never seen.
Yeah, so overall ratings from all four of us?
Oh, we're doing number ratings? Oh, crap.
Yeah, that was started by Jonathan and Vividred Operation. You're welcome.
Oh,
I
God
hate
damn it,
number
Jonathan.
ratings. I only tolerate them because I have to.
Okay.
Part of the
I'll
job.
go first.
Okay.
This is a bad movie, but because I really love the visuals. Like they put their blood, sweat, and tears in those visuals, and it shows. And for that, I'm willing to give it a 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10 for me, too.
Yeah.
It's visually stimulating, not so much captivating.
I'm actually gonna agree with that
Steph?
score with a 5 out of 10. Visuals are nice, yes, and there was potential for a good story. Keyword was, but it didn't really like act upon it, and unfortunately, it just lost it from there.
So I'm gonna go a lot
Oh,
lower than
man.
all three of you. I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 10. 1 point for the beautiful, beautiful animation. 1 point for the sound aesthetics, which includes the dub and the soundtrack. And a 3rd point for the potential to be a hairish, Tintin-esque story if done well. The rest of it can go to hell.
Sorry.
So, as a whole, I guess that... is anybody here good at math?
Oh, God.
15, 8.
Well, that's an 18 out of 40 from all of us, so...
Yeah.
How do I do that math again? Does anyone remember their equations? Elementary school equations, people!
Are you trying to find the...
9 out of 20.
I'm about to say, you're trying to find
9
the
out of
average,
20?
yeah.
9 out of 20? What's the average of 9 out of 20? I guess 9 out of 20 would be like a 4.5 out of 10. So
Okay.
that is the final score. Stephanie, go ahead, throw up the little graphic wherever you can fit it. 4 out of 5 out of 10.
I don't have a graphic for that.
Yeah.
Jonathan never
Make
gave me
one.
one.
I'll
That's
find you
Jonathan's
one. No,
doing, not mine.
Just
I'll
go into
find you
text.
one.
Just go into little like. Do you know about? Oh, what is it? What is it called? It's like I was showed this, and it's the most beautiful thing I was ever shown. Fuck, where is it? Daftfonts.com.
I was about to say, I'm not the huge Photoshop wizard in terms of making graphics, unlike some people.
No, here's the thing.
I can Photoshop.
Daftfonts.com is a place where you can get free fonts, so that way you can just add like a little text, and once you've installed the fonts on your computer, you can just like select the font. And there you go. That can count as your little graphic.
Anyway, that's
I-
not my
All right.
department. That's Jonathan. We're
Anyway.
getting sidetracked here.
Okay, so... I guess our overall thoughts on the movie is that it's awesome.
Basically, yes. Except for Patrick Stewart and Alfred Molina and Anna Paquin, and that's it.
And you should watch the dub because
Yeah.
it feels right
It
listening to the
works.
dub. Because I've heard the dub and the subtitles, and the dub just works better because it's Great Britain.
The dub uses British actors. It works
I
perfect.
have not seen the sub, so I.
It's a typical Japanese dub. It's well done, but it's it's a typical Japanese
Okay.
dub.
Patrick
So you're saying it like
fucking
fits better because
Stewart.
it actually uses characters with the proper accents and stuff.
Yes,
Patrick
Okay.
fucking Stewart. That's all that needs to be said.
that too.
That was the greatest bit of
It
casting
was
ever.
great. I was so happy.
Yeah. All right. So I guess that's it for now. Do we join us next time?
I don't know what's going on.
Wait a minute!
Show?
Wait a minute! You the viewer,
What?
listen. By the time this comes out, Rainy Day Reading with me, Zachary, and Spaceman Hardy covering Sabaku no Tami will have been out for at least a week, and if you have not seen it, you're a terrible
Get the
person because
fuck out.
that is an early Miyazaki work.
Get the
You should
fuck
totally
out.
find that out.
Get the fuck out, you and your shameless plugs.
I absolutely am plugging our website's other podcast. Yes.
Get the fuck out.
All right.
People are dropping like flies from this Skype call. This is the perfect opportunity for me to freaking plug our other goddamn podcast.
All right.
Whitley, we need
Okay.
to end this before Walt
I'm
goes off
back.
the tirade.
Do I have to say goodbye?
Yeah, say goodbye.
Yeah,
'cause
we're
me
gonna
and
say
Stephanie
goodbye.
are arguing right now. I am absolutely
Okay.
gonna plug my shit.
Joe Stratman saying goodbye before my computer overheats and shuts
Bye,
down
Joe.
again.
have a nice evening or morning or afternoon or whatever your time zone is, and we
See you
will
in
see
a
you
month,
This
next
is Walt
guys.
Hologen signing
Oh
out.
my god, shut up. We'll see you in a
Alright.
month, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.